We're live.
We're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to BB Breakdown 902. We get together every week and we talk big brother. Melissa and my partner in crime, Lindsay, is currently uploading our link so that people can join us live on Twitter and or Facebook. If you're joining us live, we always appreciate having you live and interacting with you at times as well. If you're joining us after the fact, thanks for tuning in and listening to our banter about Big Brother. We always love hearing from you after the show as well on Twitter, reaching out and just letting us know what your thoughts were on our opinions and our dialogue. So let's get at it. Where we last left off last week was with Frank and Bridget on the block, and we hadn't seen the veto competition yet, even though we knew who had won last week from spoilers. So taking off from there, we saw the veto comp. It was an OTEV comp, and we saw Frank's crash and burn, much like his season. The week that he got evicted, OTEV sealed his fate, and as this week did the same, OTEV sealed his fate once more, and Meech, as everyone was calling her, which I didn't know was a thing, but apparently it is, to call her Meech. So we've heard from Michelle now. She was kind of super in the background. We didn't get much airtime with Michelle, and all of a sudden everybody's just calling her Meech and like she's a thing. So we're introduced to this new character on Big Brother, and we got a little bit of backstory with her winning the veto. Her back and forth whether or not she'd use it on Frank or not, and her jealousy towards Bridget for getting close to Frank, which also I didn't know was the thing. Did you know this was the thing? Did you
No, I
even
didn't
know
know
of
that was a
Michelle
thing.
before this episode? Yeah, I was kind of just taken aback by it a little bit. I found it interesting. Too bad they didn't have like a little bit of story leading up to this. But anyway, so she ends up not using the veto. They stay on the block, and then the secret room is revealed. So we kind of insight to the secret room last week from spoilers on live feeds, and our many thanks to our faithful at the Reading Cave and at Austin that let us in on that last week about the new spoiler of the secret room. So as we saw on the show, Paul was the first one to find it. And so every house guest got to get an envelope, and one house guest will be returning upon eviction as long as it happens before August 18th. So they will just get an automatic return, which will be interesting. Fingers crossed it's going to happen this week because it's looking, but we'll leave that to the end of the episode and we'll chat about that in a little bit. We saw that Frank was not getting the return back into the game. He is, in fact, going home. Even though Julie didn't mention him going to jury, I thought jury would have started this week, but I guess not. So Frank is going home. And we segue right into your thoughts on Secret Room before we move on to the HOH. What do you think about this Secret Room? They're adding yet another twist to the game this season. What do you think of the Secret Room?
I think that I thought the secret room there was no way that Paul could make it any less suspicious than he did. Like, he tried, but they were going to crack that in no time, so they had to do what they did, and he just had to go in, and then everybody got it. So the jig was up really quick, so I'm pretty sure that, like, Big Brother probably didn't like that they all found it so quickly. Because, like, it looked like it happened, like, oh, one at a time. But, like, of course, like, it's like you would tell one friend who told the other. Like, it probably all happened within, like, 20 minutes of them finding it and just going in one after the other. I loved it. I thought it was fun. I'm glad Paul found it first. And I actually don't think, like, or at least he seems like he has, like, a good game, but I don't know if it's just like him being cocky and actually stumbling into awesome moves, or if it's him actually being strategic. I'm not sure which yet. It's too early for me to be like, oh, you're actually not that smart. You're just getting like lucky hands. So I really, really, really like him, and I love that he found it first and figured it out. So not such a dummy as like we all. And I think, whose team is he on? Yours?
He's my first pick.
Yeah, he's
let's
doing
just
really
confirm
well. You
he
should be
is
happy.
first pick. See him? Yeah, I'm so happy. Um, if we want to just backtrack for a minute, I had high hopes for Paul. And in the first week or two, I was just like, oh no, this is not the Paul that I anticipated he would be. And now he's really being the player I was hoping. So I'm enjoying him. Some people are giving him grief on Twitter, just for being like, oh, follow the leader kind of mentality with him. But I'm loving his spunk. I'm loving the fact that he's getting along with everyone. No one sees him as a threat, even though he is. Crack the secret room. He won HOH. I know it was HOH that required a lot of like skill. I don't think it was just more so practice.
Right.
But I think from being on the block, and like being on the other side of the house to all of a sudden being on the side of the house that's swaying the votes, and like these in-way bro alliance that he's formed. I think he's very solid in the house, and I think that on the path to finale, he's set himself up pretty nicely. As long as he doesn't come out being too cocky, like Polly's kind of coming across in the past couple weeks. He's kind of like put on this very like cocky front that isn't really working for him, which we'll get to. I think Paul's in a good position. I'm hoping that he'll continue on this path of dominance. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, for sure. He's really good.
Do we want to segue HOH win? Like he won HOH with the ball rolling competition. But what I was kind of pleasantly surprised about is that Natalie was his close competition. Like she had hit it in like the little slot that she was supposed to get it in, like the little square. She got it in there quite a few times in a row with her yellow ball, but then couldn't pull through with her red ball. Oh, maybe Natalie will take this HOH home, but she didn't end up taking it. I thought it would have kind of been interesting for her to take it, because I'm not sure that she would have been so swayed by the other side of the house as James was in his HOH. So anyways, so Paul ends up winning it. And
she was really good, and then she ended up getting really dumb. Like it was like she had a good technique, and then she takes the ball. Like I kind of thought maybe she threw it, because she had like a good thing going, and after 3 consecutive like in the hole, like that is like really great odds, and then to get it and just be like toss it like an idiot, like it seemed so flippant. And you've had like it's like anything you do after practice makes perfect. You kind of get a situation, but then she took it and threw it off to yonder. Like I was like, what are you doing? Like you've clearly got a technique, and you just went completely off like the map. I couldn't understand it.
Well, we have a Crokinole board. I don't know if anybody out there that's watching or
love Crokinole
watching ever play. But what you do is you this little like disc, and it's almost like curling, but in a board game fashion. I always start out really strong in this game. I don't know what it is. Like my technique just flails, and all of a sudden the Crokinole like little circles just keep going every which way when you need them to not go the way to the side. You want it in the little middle of the circle, and they're just going that way, and you don't know what's like the past 5 times that you could have gotten it in the circle. Like, anyways, it's a really bad comparison to Crokinole, but that's how I felt about Natalie. I instantly went back to my Crokinole skills and how I falter after having the first 2 good couple rounds. So Natalie for showing that she can actually compete a little bit. I was kind of proud, and hopefully she'll pull out an HOH win when it counts, because the numbers are dwindling. And if this week is anywhere where it's supposed to be headed, with Davon being the target, I don't know who's going to be the next target. Let's put it that way. So Paul ends up having this huge friendship appeal on the show, though, which I found kind of like, I like that he's like doing #friendship all the time, but I found it kind of overly dramatic. This episode that they kept throwing it out there, they were showing him and Paulie twinning, which I totally noticed after Paulie cut his hair to look exactly like Paul. Like he is completely impersonating Paul for some reason. It's hilarious, but I actually liked Paulie's style before he started impersonating Paul. So I have no idea where this turn of events has happened, but long story short, they had this whole segue on the Paulie thing. Do you think this friendship is legit, or do you think that this is Paulie's way of just sucking up this week to ensure that he doesn't go home?
I think it's a little bit of
Because
both.
somehow he ended.
Oh. I was gonna say I think it's a little bit of both because I think
Sorry.
that Paulie knows that he doesn't want to be put up on the block, but I actually don't think he thinks he's a target, but he's playing smart because you don't want to be cocky and just assume that like you're gonna not be put up on the block. And I think he's been a strong player, so he has to be strategic. I also think he genuinely likes Paulie. I think he thinks he's funny. I think he thinks he's a good guy to have around. He seems pretty genuinely positive, and I think that Paulie likes that. I don't know. I'm really enjoying Paulie because unlike his brother, again, I've said this before, but unlike his brother, he's playing a much more strategic game. Like he's making big moves. And although I know we're going to talk about it, but although he's like really one of the people behind like some of the big moves that might happen this week, it takes a big person to do what he's doing, and he's making big moves and he's asking hard questions. And at this early, quote unquote, stage of the game, to get out heavy hitters like this, it's not easy to do. And you usually end up going after your Natalies and your Michelles and your Victors, who's kind of just sliding under the radar after coming back and no one really cares about him. And so good for Victor. But I kind of think like Paulie is making moves, but the difference is like when you make big moves like this, you're the next target. So he's got to be careful and he's got to keep playing the game. But I think keeping Paulie on his side, keeping Paul on Paulie's side is a good move because I think Paul is very well liked and people don't see him as a threat. I also like that like no one volunteered to go up on the block. I thought that was kind of shitty of Nicole, the way she handled all that, but that's just me. It is her game.
I agree. It is her game. I do agree with that. I know, like, if you're gonna say no problem, I'll volunteer to go on the block, and then renege like a couple hours later once you've thought about it, that it might not be the best idea. I think that's shady. I think it's kind of revealing the kind of game Nicole is playing this season. I had higher hopes for her than the game she's playing. I'm not enjoying her and Corey pairing. I'm not a fan of Corey. I maybe he's a nice person, but just from everything I've seen, I'm just not a fan. I think he's kind of like he's got covered from all angles right now. Corey is also in a really good position. He's this big burly man that's obviously like very strong, and somehow no one sees this guy as a target. And I think it's because he's not that bright in terms of strategy. But no one sees him as a target. He's covered from the bros. Every bro wants him on his side. And then even though he's not won anything, and then, oh, sorry, he won the one veto, didn't he? The ice cream one, which was given to him by Paulie. And then on the covered by Nicole, which is, she's like covering him on the girl side. So like, he's also in a really great position. There's a few people that are just in this great position. And I think Nicole is going to end up taking the hit that relationship. And I don't know, I'm shocked with the game she's playing, actually. Like she went into the house not wanting to get in another relationship.
It's the first thing she did. It's the first thing she did, which just like makes me like as a woman kind of frustrated because I think she could have buddied up with Devon and done more. But like let's segue to Devon and everything that's kind of happening this week because it's pretty crazy in there. It's taken a bit of a turn.
So we're gonna spoiler alert you all because we're just about to go into the Devon debacle that's happened this week that I'm actually like super depressed about. She's not even on my team, but I am Devon. I love her in the house. She makes the house spicy. She just, without her in the house, I think the house will be empty. So going into that, so Paulie and Bridget are on the block, and spoiler alert, Paulie wins veto, takes himself off the block, and Devon goes up as replacement. I don't think she saw this coming because as she saw in this episode, she was like, oh, I trust Paul. We've developed something like pretty strong and solid. Like, I know I'm good this week. I don't have to worry this week. And here she is on the block, and here she is. It looks like she's going home, which devastates me.
I know.
And Paulie, from what I've read on feeds, is pulling all these mind tricks on Zakia in terms of like trying to get her to go against Devon to ensure that Devon leaves this week. What are your thoughts on that? Considering you just tooted Paulie's horn, what are your thoughts on him kind of like totally like just mystifying Zakia completely away from Devon?
I mean, he has
do
to
you think
do
it'll
it.
happen this week?
No, I think she'll stick with her girl. I kind of think she'll be with her. Like, I think she likes her enough, but it's kind of or I don't know. I don't know her well enough. But I think she could do that thing where it's like, oh, well, the house is all going this way, and we don't want one vote other than like it's like always like 9-0, 2 like it's always like it's hardcore. Like they go one way or they go the other, and they always kind of know going in. I would just be so sad if Devon goes because I think somehow she's played really like quietly but strong, and then I think it's just like I think Paulie was onto her. I think he's the huge culprit as to why she's going. I don't think she was on anybody else's radar. Maybe Nicole, but I don't think Nicole has big enough balls to do it. And I am surprised that Paul made it happen. Just because he was like really hell bent on getting Bridget out for whatever reason. I think that he just thought that's like what they wanted, and Paulie was trying to change it. But the house, obviously, like tonight's episode, will probably reveal like more of the house being like, we have to do this, we have to get her out. This is the time, and he's gonna go with majority. And I think James and Natalie are like gonna go after them because of the couple alliance comment that she made, and I think Michelle's gonna go where she goes. Who else is there? Victor's gonna go where Paul goes. Like it doesn't look good for her. That being said, stranger things have happened in the Big Brother house, and people like that are hardcore players like Devon might be able to get herself out of this. I don't know that she will be though, and I will be sad if she leaves.
Yeah, so I am like, I understand she made that comment to James. I think it was more so just to show James that like putting his cards out there and aligning himself boldly in a couple. I think that's what she was trying to point out to him, not so much saying to him, I'm targeting you. I don't ever targeting James. I think she would have been 100% out of everyone in that house loyal to James. And I'm really upset, like actually like bottom of my heart upset that James does not see that she would have been 100% ride or die James, I think. And the fact that he is just not falling on the sword, but letting her fall on the sword and not even trying to help her case at all. It kind of is actually like, it doesn't make me a James fan when I had been a James fan up until this point. I'm really upset with the turn of events. I know Devon was going to be a target once Frank was out, but I'm just upset that the people that should have had her back don't have her back, and that she's gonna be leaving this week. So
one quick thing.
Yeah.
So Janelle from Big Brother, like All Stars and everything like that, she just tweeted out she's not impressed with how this season is panning out. And she goes, the ladies need to band together. Do you agree or disagree?
I would have said that at the beginning, but now I think that Nicole just going around and just being mistrustful of Devon partially stemmed from Frank. Like, it was Frank stirring up the pot that really got the Devon Nicole wedge started, I think. And now there's such a wedge between them. I don't think there's any chance of repairing that wedge. I think Nicole has laid her chips all on the line with Corey. I don't think that's the right decision. I think she's going to end up being Brittany Haynes with Corey, and he's going to, for the first chance he can get to cut her. unfortunately. I wish that Zakiya and Michelle, or Mitch, or whatever you want to freaking call her, would just see the light and stick with Devon and get, like, Bridget is a lone wolf right now. Pull Bridget in, bring her in, and rally to keep Devon. There's no reason they can't keep her if they rally Bridget and if Devon appeals to James. Like, there's no reason. So I think Devon, it's not impossible for her to stay, but it's looking heavily swayed upon the side of her leaving, which is sad.
It's weird because I kind of feel like at this kind of mid-level area of the game, like, and with Big Brother throwing in so many different twists and stuff like that, like, they kind of come, they've gone, and I think, like, we're whittling it down to people that, like, no one really likes. Like, for me, I like Paul, I like Pauly, I'm interested, I guess, in Nicole a little bit to see what she does, but that's kind of it. Like, I'm at that place where it's like, they're not great. And so you got to think about it. I was thinking about this in the shower the other day. So Big Brother knows who has the, like, pass, right? Like, they understand who has the pass because they would know where they put, like, the secret pass. So if it's someone like, oh God, like somebody we don't like, okay, so like Bridget gets out and then she gets back in, like, what a waste. Like, you want it on somebody like Davon. You want, like, that, like, what? Like, that's the kind of stuff Big Brother, like feeds on. That's the whole thing. And, like, if it's just, like, I'm nothing against Victor. I don't really care. But, like, he came back in and it was, like, wah. Like, no one cared. He didn't get out. He didn't do anything. He never became HOH. He just kind of came back in and was a bit extra body, and no one cared. And I think had Bronte or had who was the other guy? Oh, is it Josiah or something? Like, had either of them got back in, like, something would have happened. But this is just like, and granted, Victor has to lay low right now, and that's what he's doing. But I guess I kind of just feel like it was like Big Brother producers are probably sweating it out a little bit because their main ticket, their meal ticket, is probably walking out that door on Thursday, and they've got nothing left. They've done their RV thing. They've done their secret person back in. They've done the secret card thing. Like, what else can you do? When do you just say, like, okay, we're just going to let them play Big Brother, which is about this time, but you're left with, like, these, like, personalities of, like, I don't want Corey to win. I don't want, like, oh my God, Victor to win. Like, you didn't. So I don't know. I have a lot of feelings, but I think they're in a little bit of a pinch right now. So they might do that thing where they throw, like, one more massive Big Brother twist in that's, like, they haven't actually thought out yet because they are probably panicking right now. I am on a rant. There are people watching, and I am like, oh, but I feel like they might be scurrying a little. And if they know that Davon's ticket isn't one, they're going to damn well make sure that she gets one that's, like, a back in the house because they need something right now.
Yeah, and this care package thing that they're all of a sudden introducing, we haven't touched on that yet.
Yeah, but that's, like, just another gimmick. Like, this is all stuff they don't normally do. So I think they're scrambling. I think ratings are low. I think people are like, oh, what is this? Like, it's just not great. And I thought they brought in all these 4 veterans, and it's like James hooked up with, like, Natalie, and Nicole hooked up with Corey, and then the other 2 just kind of went at each other, and it's just, like, not even fun. You put someone like Dan or Mike Boogie back in there, that's when shit gets real. But you put these people on, they just lie around. They're not even fun. At least James kind of has some jokes and whatever, but really he's just, like, met a girl, and can you blame him? She's beautiful, and, like, they are in it. Anyway, that's how I feel.
Yeah. No, if you're one of those fans that love the showmances, I guess this is your season to watch, because then there's, like we touched on earlier, there's a Polly's Zakiya stuff, or Zakiya. I don't even know how to pronounce her name. I apologize, guys. Zakiya?
Zakiya.
Anyways, there's that drama going on right now where they're fighting, and then they're making up, and then they're having sex in the friggin' bumper cars with no shame. There's all that going on. And then there's the James romance, and then there's the Nicole Corey Twilight Zone. That's what I'm going to call it, because that's what it is to me, the Twilight Zone.
Love it.
And they did a really good job this episode of like touching on how Twilight Zone Corey kind of is, right? With the with the dog adoption. Anyways, that's as much as I'm gonna touch on Corey again because I've already talked about him. And I feel like it's a bit of waste of my breath. But anyways, what I do want to touch on is I do want to touch on Big Brother 19. I know we're just like totally going off the mark here, people, but what do you think of this? Obviously, we're not going to be able to watch because we're Canadian.
What is it?
It is. And so Big Brother 19 is starting in the fall, but it's only on CBS All Access. So thoughts on that if you haven't heard about it?
Well, this is the first I heard. I don't
You're only
like
going to be
it.
able to watch. Yeah, so this fall they're doing another Big Brother. It's BB 19, but it's only on All Access. So we won't have access to it because we're Canadian.
Well, that's
even access. We couldn't have it because we don't fit into their criteria, I guess.
I don't like that.
So yeah, so they're doing. Yeah, so do you think this is the future of Big Brother?
I think the digital media is having a moment right now, so they're trying anything at this point to try new options. But I think like anything, like it'll be like a new thing, and then if it works, they'll do it, and they'll do it and expand it. If they do it and it doesn't work, they won't do it again. Those are the two options. It's probably just a trial run to try something else. Because like think about how we all consume media today. It's fast, it's quick, it's go, and it's on the go. And I think they're just probably just doing a test run, and like it's like, well, maybe this will be the way we do it. Because my assumption is that ratings continue to be high, but you never know. I don't know. I don't like that I can't see it.
Yeah, I know. I don't. If it does turn into that, and Big Brother is in the States anyways, only accessible online through CBS All Access.
We're moving to America.
To have access. Well, I don't know that we'd be moving to America. I just don't know if
it was a joke.
I don't know if American Big Brother would be as fun for me if they were just cutting it at only Americans have access to it.
Yeah.
I don't know that it fun for me. I think I would just probably stick to Canada and the UK because I can get that online, and that would be it. Like free. That would be my opinion. But if anyone's listening to production and cares what I think, please let Canadians pay a little more to watch CBS All Access. I'll pay the extra $5 or $10 to watch it. I will. Thanks. Sincerely, Melissa. Super fan. I would pay more to watch it if I could, like just to have access to it. So if you're listening, I don't know if other Canadians are feeling the same, but I'm sure they are. If they're Big Brother super fans like myself, I would pay $5 or $10 more to have access on my iPad wherever I am to be able to watch it. So hear ye, please give Canadians access to Big Brother 19. Anyway, I'll put a tweet out about that later. And that pretty much brings me to the end of my monologue. So we think Davon's going this week then?
We think she is.
Yes.
I do not want her to go. If she's good, she can get herself out of it, but I think she's going.
And do we think that next week is a double eviction finale? I think so.
Yeah, but I think they're just going to get rid of like empty bodies. Oh,
yeah.
I'm frustrated by it.
I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see.
I know. I think it's gonna. Like I said, I think it's gonna be like the end game is gonna be like a 4 horsemen type end game, and I think that they've pulled Victor into their 4 horsemen ish ship, and so it's gonna be Paul, Polly, Victor, and Corey dominating to the end, and they're gonna pick off James. He's a goner because he's not in there, and I think that's how it's going to go. I'm surprised that, just one last closing thought on Victor, I'm surprised he was able to assimilate himself back into the game after friggin' comping out and beasting out on the battle back. I don't think they realized actually like how much of a beast he is. I'm super impressed with the fact that he can keep his mouth shut and assimilate back into this house and not be a threat to anyone. Kudos to Victor. Glad you're on my team. Like, finally able to say, glad you're on Team L. Anyway, any closing thoughts
Nope.
on anyone before we head to the week?
Feeling good.
No?
Poor Davon.
Okay. Yeah, same. All right, guys. Well, thanks again for tuning in live, tuning in after the fact. Thanks again for tuning in after the fact. We love your support. If you want to tweet at us, our BB handle, our Twitter handle is at BBbreakdown902. And we will see you next week. We'll be tweeting out when we're going live next week. All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.